let's get to our review. Jennifer loves 18xx. It's the only game she wins. Uh, but so
No, I lose most of them.
well, you do well.
But I guess it would have my highest winning percentage. I guess that is true. I will accept that.
Like I said, it fits your play style very,
Right.
very well. What we're going to be reviewing today is 1840 Vienna Tramways. It came out in 2020, which means
Yep.
it's coming out now because of what 2020 was.
I don't. Oh yeah, it's available through the Kickstarter for Lonnie's other game, which I can't pronounce.
Yes, I know the game you're talking about. So Leonard Orgler, Lonnie Orgler, is the designer. The artist is Andreas Timmelmeyer, and it's published by his own Lonnie Games.
Yep.
It plays from 2 to 6 players. It takes 3 to 4 hours to play, and currently has a weight of 3.33. I think that's a bunch of nonsense. But
Then go and rate it yourself.
I guess I have to. You know what? I don't weight my collection. I rate my collection, but I don't weight my collection. That's probably on me. I am part of the problem.
Right.
Jennifer, tell us about Vienna Tramways. What is this game?
Okay, so it's a game that features trams instead of trains, which allows Lonnie. He designed Russian railroads. Lonnie is, I think, at his core, a Euro gamer that likes to take, outside concepts and add Euro elements to them, as 1840 has a lot of Euro in it. Okay, so it's a game that features trams instead of trains, which means that the trams in the game go on forever. There isn't a 2 train and then a 4 train or whatever. Trains go on forever. But they can only collect revenue where they have a station, just like trams work now, right? I mean, if they don't stop in a place, they don't get any money, right?
Right.
A major difference from other 18xx's is that you must buy a company in the opening stock round, and you can only own one company. And, this is a big change for 18xx because most times people like to own multiple companies and switch their trains all over the companies. And, it's a lot of fun.
Once you own 2 companies, all sorts of shenanigans start to happen, right?
Right. Exactly. Okay, so you can only own one company, and you can't sell the directorship of that company and dump it on anyone. And last but not least, in this area, directorship is 50% of the company. So there you go. What is Lonnie doing? He's putting you through a roadblock, and you go, but Jennifer, I thought you didn't like that. Hey.
And let's also say almost every single 18xx game I can think of ends when the bank busts, when we run out of money.
Yeah.
Not here.
Tom, let me finish.
Oh, by all means.
Okay. Each company can own up to 3 lines, but those can't be transferred in any way to any other player. Okay? Mm-hmm. So you can mix and match with your 3 lines and your trams. You can put them here and there, just like you kind of could in a regular 18xx, but no dumping, as I had mentioned before.
Right.
Okay, there are also government run trams, and they use special track that the lines that the player's company own lay down. And the reason to do this is that players can own 10% in the government-run trams, and the government-run trams have their own abstracted trams, and they always pay out as long as they have a route. So, it's a nice investment. They all go up. Then, the game is played in a strict set of rounds. So, like in 18xx, you have a stock round, and then you have a number of operating rounds. Well, in this game, there is a third type of round called a company round. Okay, so during your so-called operating round, instead of deciding how the dividends will be, how the revenue will be paid, you just put it all in a big revenue pile. So let's say you have three lines and you run three lines. All of those lines' revenue goes into one big stack of money. And then during the company round, which is also when you can buy more recent trams, you decide how that revenue is going to be divvied up. And no, it's not, well, it all pays out, or I take it all in, or even half and half. You can take 10% of the revenue and make it dividends and have 90% of the rest of it come back to the company, or you can do that vice versa, or 60-40, 30-70, whatever you like, whatever you like. And this is what makes it really attractive, and why I wish, and Tom said this during our playtime, why aren't all 18xx's like this? You know?
Yeah. Well, I said, why aren't there more hybrids like this? Because it really is a game that takes a certain amount of Euro design concepts and imports it into an 18xx shell. And listen, you and I, we're about to have a discussion about how successful it is in that regard. I mean, how much do we like the balance that Lonnie has done? Because it's a balancing act, right? Every aspect of the 18xx system that you take out and put and replace with a Euro system, there's always a check and balance. There's always a cost to that choice. Right.
Well, I don't know that. Okay, so like you said, look, sure. I just have a little more.
By all means.
So, the game is over at a set time. Okay, a certain number of rounds run, and that's it. There's no, there's a $12,000 bank, and when the money runs out of the bank, the game is over. That's not how it works. And again, that's very much of a Euro mechanic. Mm-hmm. More than an 18xx mechanic. So what did you think of the game, Tom?
Well, okay, so 18xx games in general fall into two main categories, right? They're either operational games in which the majority of your decision making and the difficulty of the game is figuring out how to run your choo-choos well, right? And build good track and make good connections and all that sort of stuff. And then there are the games that are the stock heavy games. And those are games about buying companies and then having other people invest in them. And then right when people start to really think this thing is going well, sell all your trains to your other company and sell all your shares and leave somebody else holding the bag of a horrible company, a company that's suddenly been ransacked and left for dead, and so on and so forth. So the stock manipulation variety of 18xx games are also really cool and really interesting. This is definitely an operational game. This
Absolutely.
is, matter of fact, the most operational game that we've seen yet in the 18x system because it is Euroized. It is, you can only own one company. It is your company. You can never own less than 50% of it, so no one can take it over. You can never own more than 60% of it, which is interesting, which really simplifies the stock portion of the game to a great extent, to a huge extent, maybe too much, because I definitely did not feel like I could use my money to bet on winning horses enough in this game, which was interesting.
Right. I think the the other thing that we didn't talk about is the rusting, right? Of the trains.
Very interesting.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So as Jennifer said, every tram in this game is a diesel. And by that, what we mean is they can go as far as they need to go. They don't have a distance limitation because we're just in Vienna, right? It's a small map, really, when you get right down to it. But it's also that trains become obsolete over time in 18xx games. It's a mechanic called rusting. And so when the level 5 or 6 trains come out, level 1 and 2 trains suddenly are worthless. You can use them one last time. And then sometimes, exactly. Exactly. I would say more often than not, there's a rule giving you the grace of one last run, and then they're gone. But some of them have a really harsh rule where
30 and 22.
Correct, where they're immediately gone and forget about it. And that's what rusting is. This game does it in a very different way. There is no rusting. You can run any train for however long you want. The problem is that when the red trains come out, so I think it's the yellow trains are the first ones, then the orange, then the red, then the purple.
It's orange, red, pink, purple.
Pink, purple, correct. There you go. When you get, and by the way, these trains always invariably are going to become cheaper to buy. So in the first round, a red train would cost you $600. In the second time when you can buy trains, it's only going to cost you $400 or $300 or something along those lines. When you buy a red train, all of your yellow trains suddenly lose $50 on their run, no matter how much or how little money they make. When the pink trains come out, they lose $200 on their runs, and so on and so forth. So there is this situation where, yes, you can run the trains, but you quickly become put into situations where you are sometimes operating at a loss, or as bad pretty much is you're taking your great runs that are supposed to make you all this money,
right?
And half of that money is going right down the drain because people don't want to be on your old junky trains anymore.
Well, the other thing that's interesting is that if you run it at a loss, the loss has to be made up through your personal money.
Yes. Which we find out.
That makes you think again, well, do I want to have to take a loan to run this train?
It is a very, very interesting situation. Yeah, and there are loans in this game where you can get $100 and it's going to be minus $200 at the end of the game, which is an interesting, kind of a more of a Martin Wallace Euro kind of conceit.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you probably aren't going to lose any 18xx or this one by $200, right?
Right.
And so I suspect there is a loan strategy in this game somewhere.
Right, but in moderation, right?
Who knows?
Who knows? We don't know. The map is tight. There are 17 train lines that are operating in a very, very tight space. So the board is going to get very complex and very convoluted very quickly. Listen, I'm fascinated by 1840. I want to play 1840
I love it.
A lot more. But
me too.
I don't, but I have a but. I'm not sure that this is the game. I think this is a halfway point to what a true 18xx Euro hybrid should be. And let me lay out a couple of reasons why. First of all, the first thing that happens in the game is a private auction.
Right.
Where we auction the private corporations. Now, private corporations are a very, very hard entry point into the 18xx experience for people that come from not having played them. Because the first thing you do is you are bidding on these things that I don't know how to evaluate. I don't know how to value these things, and I'm being forced to bid on them kind of completely blindly. And the people that have played this before seem to know exactly how to value these things, and that could be a very frustrating experience.
I would disagree for 40, but go right ahead.
Sure. Well, but here's the thing. In some games, 1846, for example,
right,
the things that the private companies that you're bidding on do radically different things.
Yeah, but the other thing about, which is, if I may say,
Please.
Okay. The other thing about 40, though, that's really interesting is that you can get a private and they're, okay, cool, right? Awesome. And then when the line comes along to use that private, everybody's like, better bid 100.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
You see, and so therefore, the usual, and I will agree with you 100%, me coming into 46, heck yeah, the mail contract's always going to be good, blah, 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 right?
Right.
That's not true here. And I would argue that's part of the Euro part.
Yeah, because the six privates in this game are almost exactly the same thing. They are when you sell them to a train company that uses that space where that private is located, you're going to get an extra $20 on your run. That's pretty much all they are. The only difference between them is their location, and a tiny bit of difference in terms of how much money they cost to start, and how much money they pay off to you until you sell it to your
Yeah,
to
in
your company.
fact, I would say it's one of the most Euro parts of the game, and that is because when you buy the private, you weren't promised anything. See, like in 30, okay, well, I bought the Camden and Amboy, so I own that space,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
You don't own that space in 40.
In 40. No, you don't. No, but you do have a location that if you connect your tram lines through that location, you're going to be able to
Which we can stop you from doing.
potentially, exactly, because when it comes time to get those tram lanes, we are bidding on those tram lines. And what is a tram line that you're bidding on? It is essentially a starting location, because all the tram lines functionally are the same. They each have
Right.
6 station markers that you can put down in the game, which turns out to be quite the limitation, because all over the place there are circles, there are stations that need those station tokens, and if you don't put yours down, it is such a tight map somebody else is going to, and suddenly your line is cut off. So
And you only get revenue from lines where you have a station marker.
correct.
And that's a big deal.
Normally.
See, in 18xx games, most of them, let's say 30 and all of those types, when you get to a place, you can, as long as you can get there, that counts toward revenue. Not in 40. You have to have a station marker there to actually get the revenue. It also impacts the way that you lay track, because you
Yes.
need to lay track in a way that works, right? Before you could put down all these little blank cities, and that's fine. I still get the revenue. Not here.
Yes. Which is to say that building good track is a tricky thing in this game, an important thing in this
Yeah.
game. But in a lot of A10XX games, the track choices are relatively limited. There are tracks, in some of the games, there are famous situations in which I wish that this track was in the game, and there is no such tile. It doesn't exist. And it's maddening, because you really want to be able to do something that the game doesn't let you do. 1840 does not seem to be that way. It seems that you can get almost any kind of track for almost any kind of situation that you need to. Wouldn't you say that? I think track limitation
Yeah, but
is very
also,
limited.
though, 1840 has the most track that is limiting. Like, they have the purple track, they have
Yes.
the red track, and the red track is in the center of the board, which in an 18xx game is normally where you make your money. But the red track is all dead ends.
Right.
How
Which
can I make money off of dead ends? Except that in a real situation, that's exactly what would happen, right? Your tram station would start in the middle of the city.
Yes. And what it
And
does is it creates this situation where the center of the city suddenly is populated by all of these tracks and all of these trains. And there's so many trains trying to get into the center, because those red spaces are worth a lot. At the end of the game,
Right.
one of them is worth $90 just getting to that hex.
Yeah, and now I will say this. I think for me at least, as an experienced 18xx player, it's like, okay, well, am I going to get into this red area or am I not?
Yeah.
Right?
And you did quite well by eschewing that and just avoiding it completely.
Now, maybe that's not going to work with experienced players. We don't know. There's so much space in this game, I think, to explore. And I just wish that it was more readily available, but it's not at the moment.
No, not quite,
Yeah.
not quite yet. Let me talk about a couple more things that are
Sure,
that
please,
are that are
please. I could talk
stops.
about this until tomorrow. So,
Oh, it's a. I hope you can hear how fascinated we are, both of us, by this game. It is it's a new player on the scene. It takes 18xx conventions and kind of turns them on their head.
yeah,
The way that you can choose how much your train pays off and how much goes as a dividend to the stockholders. In most 18xx games, that is a very limited choice. You have a
Right.
choice to pay half, full, none. That's pretty. Oftentimes, that's the only choice. Sometimes there's a little variation on that, but not much. In this, you can literally choose any point. You can choose
Yep.
if you choose 0, your stock drops. If you choose to issue just $10, like nothing, your stock stays the same. And
Yeah.
if you issue $100, your stock moves ahead one space, and then so on and so forth. So your ability to control payouts is so minute and so finite that you can really manage your company exactly the way you want to, and the game isn't telling you how to do that, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, but it also creates challenges. I could see after all of us, let's say, or we come into this game after 10 plays, man, that is going to be an AP game.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It is. It's a thinker for sure. For sure. The game ending after the 11th operating round or whichever round it is.
Yeah.
The 12th operating round. Another really interesting thing. It's no longer about breaking the bank. It's no longer about manipulating this and the other thing. It's really quite cool. Another thing that I don't like about it is the turn order mishigas. There is
Guys, folks, I'm sorry. Folks, he's just overdoing that. It's not a
no,
problem.
it is.
Yes, it is not.
There are
My
3 different
goodness.
ways that turn order is determined. We have these turn order cards in front of us, and the
Did
turn
you
order.
get past kindergarten? Yes.
The
Okay.
turn order card that you have in front of you is the least frequent use of turn order in the game. It is weird. It is weird. It is wacky. It doesn't belong in a game that's trying to bridge the
It's
gap
fine.
between. No, you simplify it. Interesting thing. The order in which trains operate in this game is another thing we haven't even talked about, which is fascinating.
Oh, but now don't change that, Tom.
I'm not going to change that. I love that.
Oh, good. Okay.
I love that. Normally in 18xx, the train that is the company that is the highest valued does their actions first, and then we proceed on down. So you look at the stock chart and you go in that order. In our game, that does not happen. What happens is tram number 1 operates first. No matter who owns it, no matter how much their stock is valued, tram number 1 operates first. Then if tram number 2 is in the game, tram number 2 operates, and so on and so forth. What it creates is this really interesting situation where the trains that you own, the train lines that you own, are going to operate in a fixed order. And there are times when I owned trams 9 and 10. And what I found is, oh my God, this is amazing. I can use my tram 9's actions to make my tram 10 operate better right now, not next turn, right this second.
Right. It's very similar to owning 2 companies, except that never changes. It doesn't matter what the value is.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Which is interesting.
And
It gets,
the other thing is, well, Paul wants to come over here, but I have a train that moves before Paul, so I will just cut that avenue off for the moment.
yes. It's really interesting. What it does is it takes some of the excitement and some of the interest of owning 2 companies of owning 2 corporations in your normal 18xx game, the tricks you can do with that, and it transfers them in a much simpler way into this game.
Yes. Much, much, much better. Again, Euro, right?
Yes. Yes. Now, do I think that, yeah, so my complaint number one is why have privates at all? It's not really that big a deal. And if you want to create something that's more Euro, that would be the first thing I got rid of. Second thing is the turn order Michigas is just nonsense. It's we spent so much time discussing exactly which.
So much time.
No, Ben.
Yes.
No, Ben was asking that question.
That was
Everybody
his
was asking that
first
question.
play. Give me a break.
Sure. Listen, first plays matter. First plays matter, Jennifer. Okay?
It all depends on your commitment, Tom.
But the third thing is, I don't know if the stock aspect of the game hasn't been neutered too much.
Now that's the only valid criticism.
Oh, thank you. So I have a criticism that's valid. You've said that one thing I've said on this podcast is valid. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very kind of you.
That's not true. But as far as his criticisms is, the stock has been neutered, right?
Yes.
But I would argue that decision space has been moved over to the operational side, which I believe, in particularly after experience, will have way more decisions overall than many other 18xx's with a stock decision space.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. I think that might be true. Listen, this is one of those games where I've played it several times and I feel like I'm just starting to understand it. And unfortunately 18xx sometimes goes that way, right? Sometimes you play it and you're like, "Oh, I totally get this." 1840 is not that game. 1840 is a game that it is different enough from anything that has come before it. The changes are significant, and the ripple effect of those changes is such that we're not really sure yet how we will approach the game, because every single time we've played the game so far, it has felt like we're still exploring what we can do with this weird new creature.
That's it's just like we were with Hallertau, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I totally agree with that. It is a game that it traffics in things that we think we understand, but because of the way that they're put together, it feels like a very new beast, and we have to. And
we aren't sure where it's going. I mean, for all we know, there could be some kind of, like I said, a lone exploit in this game. Now, I don't know, because I'm always terrified of loans, just like I am in real life, right? Which is just true. So.
Well, next time, now that you've said that, next time we play this game with Paul, he's going to go heavy loan, and we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, and see what happens, because the loans don't act as a separate loan. I'm telling you, I cannot remember a time when someone has lost a game, an 18xx game, over $200.
No.
So at the
never.
end, I mean, 200 sounds like a lot, but most times the scores are coming in the thousands.
Yes.
So 200 is like, whatever, right?
Exactly.
And so there could be a tactic there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm very interested, but like I said, I'm always scared of loans.
Yes, and let's say that the purple trains, the best trains in the game, they give plus 200 to every run that you run.
That's huge.
They are crazy powerful, and in the game that we played, I jumped to the purple train early in order to get plus 200 for one of my trains, and to make so many people have minus 200, minus 100. So big minuses on their train. It really nuked that entire round, and it was very interesting to watch how it played.
At the same time, there may be, again, a tactic where you keep those older trains. There might be. Do you understand? I don't know if there is, but there could be. There could be a situation where you say, well, you know what? This older tram works fine in this specific situation.
Yeah.
And it probably would join up with the loan strategy.
It might well. It might well. A very interesting game, Lonnie. Congratulations! You created something new in a space where we thought we would see incremental changes, and we see a pretty vast change here. 1840 Vienna Tramways, not easy to find at the moment, but check Kickstarter and see if there's a way to purchase things as an add-on. This is a game that is worth looking at for sure.
Hey, if you enjoyed that video, you very well might enjoy the other videos you now see being suggested to you on screen. Also, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could like, share, or subscribe to our Game Brain channel. Thanks so much.